name's Tony Allen. I've been winemaking for 30 odd years now, mostly with Hardy Wine Co. Accolade Wines, Constellation, had numerous owners over the years. But I've basically been based at this winery that Duxton bought off Hardy's in 2019. So Duxton was a big vineyard holder in the region prior to that, and in 2019 they bought the winery. So the winery is capable of doing around about 70,000 tonnes of grapes each year. We're generally doing between 50 and 60,000 tonnes. So we're making around about 40 million litres of wine a year. Vintage is a crazy time for us. We're always very busy. The business has basically been a bulk wine trader previously. But when we came on board in 2019, we really wanted to push our brands. So we have several brands in the market at the moment, and they're all doing really well at wine shows. Sales internationally are taking off. So, yeah, it's good. So, yeah, myself, winemaking. I'm also in charge of bulk wine trading. I oversee the winemaking team here. I do marketing and some podcasts and everything for the brands now. So there's always something to do for sure. Duxton's mission, we're committed to leadership in this sustainability field with relation to the wine industry. So I believe we're still the current largest member of Sustainable Winemaking Australia in terms of vineyard area planted. We've got several trailblazing initiatives in relation to sustainable practices, things like water conservation, improving soil, microbial diversity, soil carbon baselining, being more efficient with our energy and water use, both in the vineyard and the winery, and reducing our waste to landfill as well. So winemaking philosophy is really, my philosophy is just to let the fruit shine. Now, we don't like to trick our wines up with too much oak, too much sugar. We really just want the wine to taste like the varietal that's on the label. So if you buy a bottle of Cabernet, it needs to taste like Cabernet. Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc. So, you know, the wines just need to be easy drinking, early release wines that are varietal and also great value for money. We have reduced our footprint in the vineyard a little bit, basically because of the wine surplus in Australia. We're currently growing over 10 varieties. Our biggest varieties in the vineyard now would be Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc. We're also very big Prosecco, Glera growers in Australia. We have some large blocks of varieties like Fiano as well, and some Vermentino. So we have both the traditional, I guess, Australian wine varieties, but we've found the last few years in particular that the alternative varieties like Fiano, Vermentino, Tempranillo, they grow so well in our climate, and they tend to produce the best wines we make each year. Sustainability is really in our DNA. It's everything we do. So, you know, from improving soil structure, you know, we work with traditional Indigenous landowners in respect to planting native species around our vineyards, which help the microflora. We employ universities to do soil studies, and also we're working with the New South Wales government with their Save Our Species program. So, you know, caring for nature is sort of at the core of everything that we do. So it's not an add-on for a business. It's not something we do for marketing purposes. It's more just the way we do our business. So, you know, that goes with every, like I say, every business decision we make. If we buy a piece of equipment, we make sure that it's energy efficient. In the vineyard, we're always looking at conserving our soils and finding new technology which will have a lower impact on the planet, basically. So, managing big farms has both opportunities and challenges. Our scale allows us to implement innovative technologies like large-scale water efficiency programs, precision irrigation that might be difficult for smaller vineyards. On the other hand, the scale does pose challenges as well. It takes a long time to get around our vineyards for spraying, if we get wet weather, same with pruning. Our harvesting plan needs to be really thorough and takes a lot of time during vintage to ensure that we're getting the fruit off it in the best possible conditions. So, the winemakers do spend quite a bit of time in the vineyard, and they're always working with the farm managers. Really, our approach to vineyard management in particular is about giving back to nature rather than taking from it. We want to minimise our chemical use. We want to minimise our water use. We use cover crops to improve soils and support sort of biodiversity so that we've got natural pests that can help prevent disease as well. And also all of our winery waste, our grape marc and our stalks, we're using to put back into the vineyard soils as well to improve the soil structure and composition as well. So this winery used to be basically just a bulk producer. So we used to make bag-in-box wine, cask wine. So when we moved more towards bag grapes, we totally redesigned the winery here. So about 10 years ago, we installed bag presses, which remove grape solids at the front end of the process. We put in some continuous flotation equipment, which greatly reduces our energy use and time and labour as well. We also bought high solids crossflow filters, which allowed us to eliminate diatomaceous earth on site, which is both a health risk to our employees, but it also went down the drain and had to be then dispatched and put to landfills. So we reduced our waste that way, also reduced our water use as well. So, we recycle our winery water. We water a large tree lot with all of our wastewater that goes down the drain in the winery. So that's treated and used to water native trees. We have renewable energy. We've got a solar plant on site. All of these practices work towards our sustainability first approach as a business, and it certainly guides every business decision that we make. If we need to change a process, we'll review sustainability as a part of it, not just cost or efficiencies or what it can save the business, but how does this affect our sustainability credentials as a business. I'm of the opinion that if the vines are growing in healthy soils and the vines are healthy, you're going to produce the best fruit to make the best quality wines possible. So, from a winemaker's perspective, vines that are grown in well-managed, biologically active soils, you're going to produce fruit with more intensity and more depth of flavour. So you notice it in the flavour concentration, the balance of the wines. I also think that healthy soils, healthy vines give you a consistent product year on year as well. The vines are more resilient to differing weather conditions with different vintages, so that they sort of retain their characteristic style. You still get some subtle differences between vintages, but you get a more consistent, better quality product at the end of the day, rather than if the vines were stressed either through water or nutrition or anything like that. So ultimately, I think regenerative farming is not just good for the environment, it also translates to the quality of the wine in the bottle at the end of the day. So relation to consistency across batches from vintage to vintage, you definitely do get some quality variations between different blocks and different parcels of fruit. So I think the key to large-scale winemaking and grape growing is really in attention to detail. So, no shortcuts. Just because you've got a large operation doesn't mean you should pay less attention to detail, in my opinion. So that can be with weed management, water management, fermentation management, ullage management in the winery. So leading up to vintage, all of our winemakers will visit each vineyard. They'll assess every block for quality, and we'll stream the fruit in depending on quality. So like parcels, we'll come in together so that you do get consistency of wine. You don't have a poor block dragging down the quality of a good block. So, and the winery and vineyard teams work really closely together, identifying if there's any issues in the vineyard, any disease issues, any water issues. So a large percentage of the wines we make are sold as bulk wines still. We are a big bulk producer in Australia, selling to all parts of the globe, particularly North America, Canada, and the US. So post-vintage, the winemakers will assess every different batch of wine and we'll stream it from a quality and a stylistic perspective into a blend which suits that customer's wine. So the best parcels of wine go to our own brands. They'll be assessed or blended on style and quality. So, the wines for our own blends need to be easy drinking, fruit-driven wines. So, basically that's, I think, attention to detail is very important with maintaining consistency across vintages. Yes, definitely. And last year is a great example of this. Our focus on sustainable practices, so especially canopy management in the vineyard and weed management in the vineyard, really paid off for us by keeping the canopies open and keeping the weeds under control in the vineyard. It improved airflow through the canopy, reduced disease risk in the vineyard, so it helps them dry out faster after rain, and it just reduces the disease pressure that you get from denser canopies. So at the same time, all of our work over the last few years in improving soil composition has really strengthened vine resilience, which helps them, I think, manage differing vintage conditions from year to year. So, I believe, our sustainable vineyard management has certainly enhanced our quality over the last couple of years. With cleaner fruit, you get more even ripening and better balance in the wines because the vines are not stressed. Yeah, it's really important to how we operate. So our PERMP or pollution incident response management plan, it keeps everyone focused on preventing and managing, potential environmental harm before they happen. So it means we're always thinking about the way we operate and how our actions in the vineyard and the winery can impact the environment. So, and how they can impact on wine quality as well. So, in practice, it guides us on how we handle water, how we handle waste, our chemical use, how we can reduce our chemical use, how we can keep everything clean and traceable through the system. So the discipline from our pollution incident response plan certainly helps us protect the land that we farm and makes us more aware of our processes as well and where our risks lie. For sure, I believe so. And like I say, we don't do this just to maintain our sustainability credentials. It's more about, it's just the way that we love to do our business. So We are Fresh Care certified for sustainable practice in both viticulture and winery operations. And that aligns us with global best practice and lets us use the Sustainable Wine Growing Australia Trust Mark on our branded wine labels as well. So we've got a lot of projects on the go and, future projects as well related to sustainability, a couple of them. We have water saving initiatives. We installed fish screens on one of our large vineyards on the water pumps from the river that they irrigate the vineyards with. So as a side effect of this, like the fish pumps were put in to protect the native fish species in the river and not have them pumped out during the irrigation process. But we found that we were actually backwashing our filters less often, and that was allowing us to save up to 14 million litres a year of water a year. So there's also a lot less downtime, a lot less maintenance issues with our irrigation pumps. On the packaging side of things, we have 100% recycled glass. With our bottles, they're all lightweight glass, which means use less CO2 in freighting them around the world. All of our labels are 100% recycled. The caps, the capsules are the highest percentage recycled content that we can get. All of our cardboard cartons are 100% recycled as well. So we do believe we're going above and beyond with sustainability and what we just have to do to maintain our credentials. We really want to make an impact in relation to, taking less from the planet and hopefully handing down a better environmental situation for our kids and future generations. We've been embracing technology for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's a big part about how we manage both our sustainability and precision in the vineyards. So, we're using drones and satellite imagery to monitor vine health across the vineyards. We have water sensors which feed back into a program which allows us to optimise our water use in the vineyard. So it basically gives the vines the water when they need it, rather than just watering shift on, shift off. We're also exploring, artificial intelligence and data analytics to make smarter decisions about things like canopy management, disease management, harvest timing, stuff like that. So, our goal is always to reduce waste, protect the environment, enhance wine quality. So if artificial intelligence can help us get there, it's not just about efficiency, it's about doing good again for the planet. So because we're in such a warm climate here that we are concerned about going forward. So it brings about future planning for, what varieties are suitable for the district. Irrigation, things like water management become particularly important. Water's a finite resource in Australia, so we have to be very careful with how much water we're using. Also, things like canopy management in the vineyard where, we don't want our fruit hanging out in the sun and getting sunburnt. We can get weather here where it's over 40 degrees centigrade for 2 weeks straight. So it gets very, very hot. And we certainly, with climate change, don't want to see, a further increase in temperatures. So, we found last year that we started 2 to 3 weeks earlier than we normally would for vintage. So, and, as a way of, potentially reducing acid additions and stuff in the winery, maybe we start picking fruit earlier as well. So certainly long range weather forecasting and potentially the use of AI as well can help us to navigate through some of those climate issues that we think we're going to experience in the future. anytime anyone says they love your wine, it makes you feel, great. So like I say, we produce a lot of bulk wine, but for me, our passion is our branded wine. So we're taking our wines all around the world now. So we've, as well as domestically, we're growing sales really rapidly in places like Japan and Canada at the moment. We're embarking into the Indian market and getting great reviews on our wines there. So yeah, it does give you great pleasure to see sales growing. This year we've entered only 15 wines into wine shows, and every one of those wines has won a medal so far. So that shows that we're making consistent, good quality across a range of varieties as well. Our motto at Duxton is the great wine shouldn't have to cost the earth. So there's a double meaning behind that, in that I think we're providing great value wines, but also from our sustainability standpoint, hopefully our customers can buy a bottle of wine and feel good about it and about what we're trying to do for the planet as well. So yeah, our medal strike rate this year has been great. It's great to get great reviews from your peers in the industry at things like wine shows. We were really proud of the Rewild results this year that we got at this Sommeliers Choice Awards. That's what we're about. Just providing a great quality, great price on some wines, and we're trying to do our best for Mother Nature. So. 2021 was a great vintage here, but I also think that 2025 wines from earlier this year are a standout. There's just great quality across all varieties. So far, the show results are looking really good. I mean, that's not the only reason why we make wine. We're all winemakers are very passionate about what they do. You work long hours during vintage, but it's all worth it in the end when you come up with a great product that people are enjoying. So. Pinot Grigio is our biggest variety by far. We grow about 18,000 tonnes of Pinot Grigio in a good year, which equates to about 14 million litres. So our biggest market for Pinot Grigio would be Canada. But also we have some rather large customers in the US as well. So that would be the number one variety. And probably, from Australia, Chardonnay, Shiraz, those varieties are also very popular. Cabernet Sauvignon into North America as well. Yes, we've seen that trend over the last few years that red wine consumption has dropped, and people are tending to drink lower alcohol wines now too. It is a bit of a concern for the wine industry, and the consumption is dropping. And it's not just an Australian issue, it's a worldwide issue. And I think young people today have too many options, and maybe they're not as brand loyal as what they once were. It might be RTDs one day, a bottle of wine another, chop and change, whatever's on special. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think as an industry we need to make wine sexy again somehow, and so the younger generations will, go back to enjoying a glass of wine, even with it, if it's just with a meal of a night time or whatever. But we are seeing, unfortunately, due to lower consumption, some wine surpluses in all wine markets at the moment. Certainly we are exploring that at the moment. We actually have a dealcoholization plant on site now. It's in conjunction with another partner who actually own the plant, but we do have access to use, and we definitely are seeing a lot of interest in reduced alcohol wines and zero alcohol wines. So that is one form of new product development that we are definitely looking at in the future.